Hey guys, how's it going? It's Samuel here from Yes Sports here to interview BerryCrunch, who is a StarCraft 2, a very popular StarCraft 2 streamer and Terran Grandmaster. How are you doing, Barry?
I'm doing good today, man. How are you doing?
Good, good. I notice actually I notice this every time you stream, but it's sort of like all the curtains are closed, room's pretty dark, and you stream late into the hours of the night, or should I say morning. Is that a strategy actually?
Yeah, I think that in general, like I just don't really like sunlight. I think sunlight, it just is very distracting for me, it's like reflecting off the screen. I just function a lot better as a person at night, I feel like. So
So
I've
you
been
would you
doing
would
it.
call you call yourself a night person.
Yeah, I've been doing it since I was really young, like when I was really young, I used to stay up all night playing Pokemon under the covers with one of those like
Right.
flashlights. And then eventually I got into Halo 2, started doing that, staying up all night. I would literally stay up all night playing Halo 2, and then I would go to school the next day without sleeping.
I
I did that all
I
the
have
time.
I have literally done the Pokemon flashlight thing under the covers.
Oh yeah, that's the best. Eventually, one day you get they had a flashlight that attached to the Game Boy.
Oh, okay. They really figured it out.
Yeah, and that one was good because then you would have the rechargeable batteries on the Game Boy. But
Yeah,
then eventually, when they came out with like the backlight for the Game Boy, that was the game changer.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Totally. So uh one thing I found actually streaming in the middle of the night is that you catch a lot of the viewership that like when you stream during the day, there's like a lot of popular streamers on, and
Yeah.
sort of all of the viewers like gravitate like like bees to honey towards them, and it's hard to get up and running. Do you find that it's easier just to gain and retain viewers at night?
Yeah, I think so. The problem is that I've never really streamed that much during the day, so I don't know. Maybe it's actually like better to do that. I definitely agree with you. There's people who have those time slots already. They pretty much they've been holding those time slots for like a very long time. So it'd be hard to take their viewers away because, a lot of those viewers, they'll just go to Twitch. They don't even like they don't browse around or anything. They just click on like their favorite streamer, right?
Right.
So it is
Just the
harder.
competition. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I've thought about maybe streaming during the day though. I think that there is a possibility that it could help grow just for the sake of like giving it a try because you might hit new people that, don't have the opportunity to watch you at night and stuff like that.
Right. Right. So you've been streaming for a few years now. How many years has it been exactly?
Little over 2 years now.
Okay. And at what point did you start to? I guess I'll rewind a little bit. So the first question is from the beginning of your full-time streamer now.
Pretty much, yeah. Like I still have another job, but I do I do full-time streaming hours. So but
Right, right.
yeah.
Yeah. Like when I was you have a cat that's adorable. I've never seen never seen that before.
And she's
Uh,
like scratching my bed.
yeah, when I was interviewing Libby B last week, she does totally full-time streamer hours, but she also has the other job on the side, cosplaying.
Yeah.
Is your other job like how do I put it? Influencer related at all?
No. My other job is just like a normal day job. I do finances accounting for a small business.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty boring compared to
That's very
especially
fun.
compared to stream. Well, compared to streaming, it's pretty boring. Streaming is
Okay.
kind of exciting.
Okay, you got me there. So from the beginning of your streaming, like was it regular? Like did you like from like you've been streaming for 2 years. How much of those 2 years has it been like I'm gonna stick to a schedule?
Um, Probably like after I think the first like 6 months, maybe I didn't really have a schedule. In fact, I didn't really even like do StarCraft on my stream. I actually started playing. It's funny that you mentioned Livy B because when I originally started streaming, I was only playing Apex Legends, and I would play with Livy B and some other friends that we had. And eventually, I started streaming Starcraft, and I started ramping up my hours. I got stream like maybe like 3 or 4 hours a day. Eventually, like full time, like 6 to 8.
Right. And how long did it take to start noticing, like, because I think what discourages a lot of people is that they start streaming, they put in the hours. Some people, they even make like, financial investments into equipment and tech or whatever. And then they stream, and for like the first month or even longer, they just don't even get above like 5, 10 viewers. And, it's like an instant motivation killer. So at what point did you see the growth and it start to be like, oh shit, like I can start doing this, ramping up the hours and, you know, start getting some money out of this?
Yeah, like maybe like the first month I had like 5 subscribers, which is even I feel like even a lot for some people.
For a single month, 5 subscribers is a lot, I would say already.
Yeah, I did play with some people that already had viewers. Like I would play games with other people that were kind of established streamers. So like it helped me a little bit with the little boost. But then eventually, I started to do my own thing. Like I said, like then I started doing StarCraft myself and just like having my own stream. And that was when it really took off because as I started to get viewers specifically by advertising, like something that like I feel like a lot of people didn't really have, which was that I was Grandmaster Terran. There wasn't that many Grandmaster Terran streamers and none at the hour that I was playing. So I think that that got people in, and then you try to entertain them, make them laugh, stuff like that, and then that's what keeps them coming back. And I think that that's the main thing, right? You have to have something that brings them in first, but then once they get in, you have to have that personality, you have to have that humor or entertainment value that will make them come back, right? Because otherwise they just will click out, they will come back.
That's right. Yeah. For the viewers, I'm in very stream pretty often. I'll agree. It is pretty entertaining. Um,
Sometimes for the right reasons, sometimes for the wrong reasons.
so, one thing I notice you do better than I think any other streamer I watched is that you are able to be in constant communication with chat. And that really stands out to me because StarCraft is a game that requires so much attention and focus that you were able to, like, sometimes I'm typing in chat and you're like reading my comment out as you're like microing in the middle of a fight. And like it blows my mind. Do you have something that, like, is your chat on a separate monitor, or do you have some sort of software that puts it on the same monitor as your game, or?
No, no, I have it on another monitor. I just like, I just move my eyes to the right a little bit and I'll be able to read what's going on in the chat. I think the
Uh,
biggest thing is that I was able to, kind of like let overcome my ego, so to speak, because like I used to be a lot more high MMR. And then I kind of was like, if I'm gonna stream and I want to be a successful streamer, the focus should be on the stream, not how good I am at the game. To most people who watch, you know, the difference between a top 200 GM and a rank 1 GM really isn't that different to the eye. You know what I'm saying? So, like, a
right,
lot of people, they're not in it for like seeing the absolute top gameplay. People just want to be entertained at the end of the day. I'm sure there's people out there that do appreciate the really, 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 really good players, but I I don't even think if you look at them, they don't really get that many subscribers themselves either. So it's
right,
I don't really think that's the way to go about it. I think StarCraft's one of the games where because the game is so hard, everybody's focus is on getting good at the game. But if you're gonna be a streamer, I think it's more important to try to focus on the viewers because it's all about them at the end of the day.
right, right. It's a good point. I want to get your opinion on Hero Marine. I noticed that Hero Marine stream gets like an abnormally like large amount of viewers. I'm not saying like he does anything fishy, not at all. I'm just saying like it's really high, like especially for a Starcraft player, and it's like regular. Like every time he kicks on the stream, it's like 1,000 plus viewers. Like, what's your take on him?
Okay, so Hero Marines, a good example actually, because he has a lot of viewers, right? And he's very, very good. He's probably like top what four Terran in the world or something like that. Maybe even top three. So he's the best. He might be the best player in the world that consistently streams, right? Now, the thing that's interesting to me when I look at stuff like that is, I think he averages like 500 to 600 subscribers, right? Like lately, I've been averaging like, 800 to 1,000. So
Oh,
even though I
wow.
have a much, much lower viewer count, my sub count is higher because I'm focused more on the chat than the game. But his stream is still very successful. Like he probably makes so much more money than me on ads, right? So like he's making up for that there. So like I think it's like I said, it's like the skill level brings in the people, but to create that community, you have to have that direct connection with the people. But he's definitely like very, very good at commentary. And he's, like I said, there's no other player who's as good as him that streams consistently. So he's got that on lock, right? Like
Right.
he's the best player who streams regularly.
Yeah. I think it's a really good way of putting it. Um, just out of curiosity, is there like a way to tell how many subscribers somebody has? Like, did you just ask him or?
Oh no, he has it displayed on his stream. That's
Oh,
how.
okay.
He's
Okay.
got it displayed. Yeah,
I see. I see. Okay. That's interesting. So
I watch him pretty. I watch him every time I'm up at that time. Like I'm not normally awake at that time, but since he's tearing, turn on his stream and watch. Maybe see a build order that I like or something like that.
right, right. Um, so you mentioned earlier that when you just started your stream, it was fortunate that you were able to sort of rub shoulders with people who already have, who are already established and stuff like that. So were you guys like hosting each other's streams after you guys finished streaming and such? Like that probably helps a lot, right?
Um, I'm trying to think back to that. Uh, I don't. I don't think so. The reason why I didn't really get hosted back then was because back then when I was streaming, I had to end my stream before everybody else because I usually had to go to work. So then I would go to work and then, I never really got those hosts or anything like that. But hosting again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier. Hosting brings in the viewers. How do you get them to stay? Right?
I
I think that's the most important thing is like whenever you get a host, this is like for all the streamers out there who are trying to like make it, whenever you get a host, like especially like a big one, you got to view that as an opportunity that you need to like, seize. You got to really focus on trying to do your best when something like that happens. Like sometimes I'll raid somebody like with like 100 something viewers or something like that, and they'll like have like 3 viewers, and then look over at their monitor and they'll be like, "Oh, thanks for the raid," and that's it. And then they'll just like refocus on trying to win the game that they're playing. And it's like, well, I'm not saying like everybody needs to become a successful streamer, but if you do want to, that's the wrong approach. You got to like bring the action. You got to like try to entertain and make them laugh. Get their attention
right.
because you just because people are watching your stream doesn't mean they're gonna stay. Doesn't mean they're gonna support you, right?
Yeah. So when I was having a conversation about streaming with Libby B earlier, she mentioned that one mistake that people make is that they invest a lot in tech, like in like even right now you have like a fancy microphone, the microphone stand, like all that costs money.
Yep.
And she said that don't worry about it at the start, just worry about yourself and presenting yourself and just trying to have an entertaining stream basically. Uh, Now, that being said, do you feel like at the minimum people should be getting like some sort of a webcam so that viewers can see them?
Yes, I do. it works for some people not having a webcam. Like I know that Lyric famously is like an extremely successful streamer. He's got like thousands of viewers and he doesn't use a webcam. And there's a few others out there as well. I think that the no webcam thing works for some, but some people, and also it works for some content, but not everything and not everybody. But in general, I think that having a webcam, just having something that connects you to the viewers, like them, because like the second you see somebody, you already have like more of a established connection with that person than not being able to see them, right? So
Right.
I definitely think like a webcam is a good investment, and like a webcam and a microphone are musts in my opinion if you want to start streaming, especially now. Some people get away with like VTubing and stuff like that, but I think that that also requires like a pretty heavy investment. Like you need like actually like a good camera and software
Oh,
for that,
right.
I'm pretty sure.
Right.
So even if you want to do that, it's some investment, I believe. But yeah, I think minimum investment, you got to get a decent microphone and one that doesn't sound terrible because it doesn't pick up background noise and stuff like that, because that can be a turn off for a lot of people. You just hear like I don't know, like cars in the background or something like that.
Right.
And the webcam's important too, I think. Like a webcam is not that much money. I mean, I would say like just grab like the Logitech C922. Like everybody's owned that camera who's like a streamer. A lot of the top streamers even still use that webcam. So,
Is
and
that
it's
the
only
480 or 720,
it's a
720?
it's a it's a 1080p camera, but it's
Oh, it's a
only like,
1080p.
yeah, it's like $100, I think. So
Okay. Yeah.
that's not that expensive for a webcam,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
decent. I used it before. It's not bad.
And you mentioned that sometimes, depending on the content, a lack of a webcam works. Do you like what did you have in mind for that?
So like like if you're like, let's say, let's use StarCraft an example. If you want to be a caster or something like that, you could do without a webcam, right? Like
Right.
Loco is a streamer, right? But when he does his casting, no webcam. Rotterdam, same thing. Back in the day we had Husky, he didn't use a webcam. We had HC Starcraft, he didn't use a webcam. The list goes on and on. Like you don't need, like if you're gonna do casting, you don't really need a webcam to just do that. And you just need to, put out consistent content that people enjoy, and like it's got to be like, I think consistency is really important. Like you got to like be dropping like vids like every day if you want to do something like that. Or like YouTube videos. Like there's a lot of people who do YouTube's content that don't use webcams either. Like because like the focus is usually the subject in that matter and not on the individual. Whereas like if you're going to be a live streamer where you're playing games or doing stuff, then the focus is on the person,
Right.
because
That makes a lot.
you're selling yourself basically.
And would you say that it would be a good idea for Twitch streamers to also currently try and push a YouTube channel, or do you think it's not necessarily important or necessary?
I think it's good. I've I'm starting to try and like make my own YouTube content and stuff like that, and it's kind of hard to get yourself off the ground on YouTube. I feel like YouTube, just because you have a successful stream does not mean you're gonna have a successful YouTube. You need to like be able to put out content, like I said, consistently that people enjoy, and that's like really the hard thing for me right now is like putting out content on YouTube success consistently, sorry. And also I think the other important thing is that um your YouTube content needs to be like separate from your Twitch content if you really want it to pick up, right? I think that that's the main key. Like a lot of people, they'll just grab clips from their Twitch, upload it to YouTube, and then their YouTube will never take off. And the reason is because it's not
It's the same
exclusive
thing.
content. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not exactly. So it's important if you're going to start a YouTube to have something there that's separate from your Twitch, I think.
Right.
But I
Right.
think it is good because if you can get your YouTube going, then that's like people will find your YouTube through your Twitch. People will find your Twitch through your YouTube. It's just like better overall for you to grow.
Right. And I've this is gonna sound silly. I've heard of the YouTube numbers from a Dr. Phil show on how you need like a gajillion views to make like decent amount of money from YouTube. What would you say, like, in terms of subscriber count or viewer count or whatever metric you want to use would be considered as, starting to take off the ground in terms of a YouTube channel?
YouTube. So YouTube's a little bit harder. From what I've heard, the number where you can like live off of YouTube solely, like be just like that's your main job, I think is like 100,000 minimum, like
Subs.
subscribers. Yeah. So like YouTube is definitely harder than Twitch, but you can also stream on YouTube now, and then they have the same thing as Twitch. They have like donations and stuff like that, and you could do that as well. But I think like it's better to stream on Twitch right now than YouTube. The discoverability on YouTube is not as good.
Right. I find that YouTube is maybe a little more fringe or perhaps for like not necessarily for gamers, but more for like maybe sports and stuff like that to be a little more accessible on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube really rewards you for like having like a very large channel. Not so much like not so much the smaller channels, I feel like.
Right. Right. So in regards to like creating content and just working day to day in general, like what sort of keeps you motivated or what gives you ideas?
Just like the other people in Twitch chat, when I talk to them, I like to hear their opinions. They'll make suggestions, stuff like that. Sometimes it's like there's no way on earth I'm doing that. But sometimes, but sometimes, they have good ideas. I also like to watch other streamers as well and get a good idea of like what is working out there as well.
Right.
Like, I think it's like very important to do market research, so to speak, like because like if you're a streamer, you have to look at other successful streamers, especially the really, really big ones, and see what makes them really successful. They try to understand what it is. And just I just draw inspiration from like some of the top streamers and stuff like that. And like I try to also when I'm like by myself, like if I think of something like really funny, I'll like write it down. I'll try to remember it and stuff like that. And like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. Sometimes you
So
just brainstorm.
now I'm curious, what's like one example of something where you've like watched a really high level streamer and you're like, that's a good idea, or like I'm gonna try and do something like that.
Um, I think just like expressive reaction, right? Like a lot of the top streamers, though, when they react to stuff, like they really like they take the emotion and they really elevate it, right? And I think that that's really good for the viewer. And I think that that's like a very important thing for all streamers is like, if you are doing something and some crazy thing that everybody like wants, like they it's like some crazy thing happens and your reaction is just like, yeah, okay, then all of a sudden like they're gonna be like, what the hell, like that's the reaction they had to that. It's important to be expressive, I think.
Right.
And I learned that I like when I first started streaming, I wasn't very expressive, and I learned that being expressive is very important when you're streaming. If you're not expressive, then there's a less of a connection between you and the viewer, I think.
Right. It's a good point. When you mentioned that, it sort of made me think of, how like when people watch, like whether it's gaming or even like TV shows, like people watch reaction videos, right? They just watch like people reacting to other things and being like, "Oh man, like that's awesome," or like, not what I expected. Sometimes it works in the ironic way, but yeah, I mean, reactions are a big deal.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah. That was probably the biggest thing I learned from watching the bigger streamers is making sure that you're expressive when things happen.
Right. All right. So that being said, you mentioned earlier that you're focused more on the viewers rather than the gameplay, and like you said, your MMR is taking a little bit of a hit. For the viewers who don't know, MMR is the same thing as ELO, from like League or Dota. I mean, in Dota it's called rating, I guess.
Even
Uh,
like chess has yellow too, yeah.
yeah, that's right. So that being said, have you like sort of I don't like to put it this way, but just for lack of just for ease of explanation, have you like sort of checked out from the like improvement department or
Um, yeah, it has getting really good. It hasn't been a focus of mine in a while. I definitely don't. I still try to win all my games, but like you've been there before when it comes to getting really good in StarCraft. It takes a lot of time, not necessarily just like playing time, but just like doing research and stuff like that. And I don't
yeah,
really have the time to do that because you got to watch like other players and or maybe even like map things out yourself, and that takes a lot of time. So I don't really have the time to really put the effort into that.
right. So that being the case, do you not like you don't watch tournaments too much anymore or
I'll watch a tournament every now and then, but usually I'll maybe watch a few of the series. I won't be able to like watch the entire tournament or something like that. Back in the day, I used to sit back, watch every GSL, every MLG, you know.
so when it comes to interacting with viewers, I know sometimes like the role of a streamer, interacting with certain viewers, or just a certain kind of viewer, the negative ones is like kind of an unpleasant experience. So like, what do you do to sort of, ignore the haters? Because for me, like streaming while playing a stressful game is already like, from time to time a very tilting experience, and just like knowing it could happen like every stream where like you lost frustrating game and then some guys got you on full blast like flaming you in the chat. Like what do you do about that?
I think that it every situation is different and it depends on how you feel that day, I think. Like some days I handle it better than others, but the majority of the time I think the reason why I'm able to, because like you can't really become a successful streamer if you can't deal with that, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
everybody gets that. So like the way that I usually deal with it is I usually just laugh at them because like most of the time like they're just trying to troll you, like so like if you can't, the thing about it is like you have to be able to laugh at yourself. I mean, that's like a big part of being a good streamer. Like that's another thing that I learned from like a lot of the top streamers. Like you go to their chats, like 40-50% of the chat is people just talking shit to them, like just like insulting them and stuff like that. So you see that, and they're able to just like, laugh along with them and stuff like that. And I think it's important to realize like, like somebody said some like mean words to you, like yeah, they're kind of like mean for doing that, but at the same time, like it's your stream and you can't let them affect your stream negatively because like then you're only hurting yourself. You can't get really upset at them. Like that's that's like your job basically, right?
Yeah,
So, if they're really bad, I'll just ban them usually. But for the most part, I usually just try to laugh at them at what they say.
right. I'm a just me personally, I'm a pretty sensitive person, so it's like for me, just like streaming long term has always been like a challenge. I'm always like, oh man, like I can't put myself through this today, so I just don't. Yeah, so I mean, I'm really impressed that you are able to do that. Um,
Yeah, like everybody's got people like that. If you're successful at anything, you're always going to have people that are like that.
haters, yeah.
And
Uh,
sometimes they're not even haters. Sometimes they're just trying to be funny. Like a few times, I've had people come in. they insult me, they say like some mean stuff, and then I'll laugh it off. And sometimes those people quickly turn around and they're like, all right, yo, here's 10 subs or something like that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, like funnily enough, one of my number one supporters is somebody in my channel named Cranky Diabetic, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he
yeah.
was originally a troll who came in and was just talking smack to me, and he's gifted me like over 900 subs now.
Whoa.
So
All right.
sometimes you could
Well,
even flip those people if you just, don't take yourself too seriously.
yeah, yeah, okay. I mean, I figured don't take yourself too seriously, but I didn't know you could actually flip these people sometimes. That's cool. Uh,
Yeah.
so when it comes to building your own stream, I guess I'll wrap this up. What sort of just general tips or things you wish you knew earlier that you learned along the way that you could impart on our listeners?
Things that I wish that I knew earlier, I guess, would be like I was saying earlier, definitely to be expressive. Definitely what we just discussed. Don't take yourself too seriously. Like, don't get mad. And like to delve even deeper, just you got to remember like you're like the source of entertainment. Like if you're watching like a show or you're playing a video game, like you are the game, you are the show, right? So you got to remember that at all times, you are the show. So you can't let yourself ever, you know, really have those really bad moments. Like everybody has bad moments, but like if you do have a bad moment, everybody makes mistakes. You got to try to bounce back from it and do better the next time, right? Like it's okay I think it's okay, especially as a streamer, to make a mistake or take a step back. But the most important thing is to not get discouraged. Definitely. I think everybody gets discouraged, and a lot of people think like, oh, well, it's just like these people are successful and I'm not, and then they get discouraged and they stop and then they quit, right? But the thing is that every single streamer at some point has been discouraged, right? It's just that forcing yourself to sort of like get back on the horse and like keep going, that and eventually break through, right? So like you gotta like not, but you don't want to do the exact same thing every time. But yeah, you definitely don't ever want to let yourself get discouraged to the point where you want to give up, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'll add a bit to that. That when it comes to not taking yourself too seriously and trying not to have too bad of a day, I have seen instances where sometimes like you will lose a regular viewer because like the stream like mood goes really south. So just remember that like it's a stream, you're doing it out of passion, but like you are at work. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. That's right.
so don't don't flip your boss's desk and don't light a fire in the office and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Well, thanks so
Agreed.
much for the interview, Barry. It was awesome to have you here.
No problem, man. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for having
Awesome.
me.
I'll catch you later.
All right, see ya.